right? Because unfortunately this play ended up for a touchdown for the Tennessee Titans. And I remember watching this play live, and you see Andrew Wingard with his back turned, right? A bad look trying to chase down Humphreys, and it's like, well, Wingard got burnt, and you saw DJ Hayden on Humphreys. It's like, what happened to DJ Hayden? He got burnt, right? So those were our very first two things that we went to. There's a lot more to break down in this video that, maybe the basic fan does not understand. Yes, it falls on Wingard a little bit. Yes, it falls on Hayden a little bit. But this play right here actually stems all from Mr. Josh Jones. Now, keep in mind, Josh Jones is the guy that replaced Ronnie Harrison. Josh Jones gets beat before the ball is even snapped, and I can't wait to tell you why here. The Jaguars lose this play right here before the ball is even snapped.
Really? Okay, because I want to give my illustration of this play, and this is the touchdown to Humphreys. And
Correct.
Josh Allen hits Tannehill as he's throwing the ball, and he throws up a prayer. You remember the play from Sunday.
Yeah.
And I thought DJ Hayden got spun around, and it's like another example of, oh, man, Hayden not playing that great of football. So take us through the play.
Can I see the
We're
play?
up.
Are we up? I don't see it on the screen. I have to see what I'm looking at.
Well, do you have the screen up?
Yeah. Is it up, Coos? Okay, well,
You want to refresh your screen.
let me get to that screen real quick, man. Sorry.
Social media
we're
king.
on the fly. Yeah, social media king. You better believe it. Now, of course, the internet's going slow. 1 second, please, everybody. Brent, you want to set up the play real quick where we're at?
So here's the play. As I just said, we know the play you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the
Down and
early
distance.
stages of this play, it is 3rd down and 9 from the Jaguars' 18-yard line. And obviously, Ryan Tannehill has the football, he's in the shotgun, waiting the snap. And here, do you want to just look at my phone because your computer doesn't work, and you do have a phone that does work. But
yeah, it's all good, man. So check this out. All right, so we got a 3-by-1 formation, right? And pre-snap, we got 3 receivers on the right side, 1 receiver on the left side. Thank you very much, Kuz. Just got it done. And this is the first time I'm seeing this slide. Shout out to Marcel Robinson for getting this up, and it looks pretty good. All right, so pre-snap read, Brent, 3rd and 9, big play right here. And I'm back. And I'm back.
You are back. You
And
just
I'm
hit a
back.
new gear.
Oh, I know. You got to, man. You got to. So we got a 3-by-1 formation. And like I said, Brent, the reason why I love to break down this play because there's a chess game going on right now, right? There's a chess game going on to the educated minds of the game of football. The first thing that happens during this play, the pre-snap, tight end goes in motion. Miles Jack follows the tight end. That tells Ryan Tannehill right now, you know what? They're in man coverage. Sometimes the Jaguars go in zone. Right now, they're in man coverage. That's tip number 1. Okay, so now let's fast forward a little bit. They're playing at home. No crowd. You can do any kind of hard count you want. Ryan Tannehill does a hard count. Now, when they're in man right now, Brent, like I just said, you see 2 safeties in the back. Now, and then this shot right here, you see Josh Jones, and then Wingard's obviously behind him.
Yeah, you don't see Wingard, but he's like in the end zone, essentially.
When this play started out, they were both on the same plane, right? So one would think, okay, man coverage, it's got to be cover 2 under, right? And basically cover 2 under means you have 2 safeties playing half of the field, one side of the half, other side of the half, right? That's what Ryan Tannehill thinks right now. That's what anybody would think because the Jaguars run a lot of cover 2, okay? Simple as that. Ryan Tannehill does a hard count here. And when he does the hard count, Josh Jones makes a giant mistake. He tips off what he's doing, okay? Keep in mind where we're at right now. It's 3rd and 9. You can't give up a first down. They're on the 18-yard line. Okay, so this turned in from a cover 2 under to Josh Jones creeping up and cheating a little bit, tipping it off, and it ended up being a cover 1 with a. Now, what does that mean? Cover 1 means that you have 1 safety in the back, and the robber means that you're coming up to try to prevent that first down. The robber's put in place to defend plays like, a slant route, to defend plays like a hitch route, anything that's short yardage, obviously, to try to prevent this first down.
Which would be a safe play in the red zone.
Exactly. This is why we see Josh Jones in the frame right now, but we don't see Andrew Wingard because Josh Jones has now tipped the play. Ryan Tannehill sees the tip, and all of a sudden he checks out of something, and he calls something else, and he calls it to Humphreys. He now knows that there's a cover 1 with a robber, and he now knows that he only has 1 safety in the back. He tips it off to Humphreys, and Humphreys adjusts from there. Now let's go to the second slide, please, Kuz.
It might take a few minutes to get to the second slide.
There's a delay.
Just because there's a delay.
Oh, there's a delay. That's right. Yeah.
That's kind of like
It is up,
okay. It's
what do you
up right
want to
now.
do?
Okay,
we
we're
have
good.
to. We have. It's just part of it.
Can we go to the one
patient.
where he sat, the one without me? The other one.
That was just slipped to number 3. Ooh, a little sneak peek.
Little
right
sneak
there.
peek of me coming up. Yeah.
Okay, you're good now.
I hope so.
It will be coming up.
I mean, I hope we're
This
good.
is like live TV, man.
Yeah, if he feels like it. All right, so number 2, check this out. All right, so Tannehill, once again, great pass by Tannehill. Stands in the pocket. Who do we got beaten down? We got Josh Allen beaten down, right? Literally a split second away.
This is the question you asked him yesterday, right? When you get so
Exactly.
close to getting a play.
So close and gives up the touchdown, right? There's nothing more frustrating, and Josh Allen mentioned it yesterday, there's nothing more frustrating having a great pass rush move, and unfortunately, you're a split second. And it's not Josh Allen's fault. I mean, it was a good read by Tannehill, because keep in mind, Tannehill knows what's going on right now. He knows right now the Jaguars are going to cover one with the robber, and he knows that he's going to Humphries. If you watch this play and go back, he stares down Humphries the entire time. There's no check downs. There's no look downs. I'm going to Humphries, and I'm going to expose this defense. That's exactly what Ryan Tannehill had to do. Keep in mind, though, in order to do that, he had to wait till Humphries got out of his break. That's why he takes the hit right here. And give credit to Ryan Tannehill. I know we've been kind of critical about him, last season, getting all this money. He makes a very quarterback-savvy play. He stands in the pocket because he knows the throw is going to be there, but he has to buy as much time as possible. He waits till the last split second, gets the ball out. Josh Allen just misses a sack. And also keep in mind, we got Chase on right now rushing half a man. Chase on's coming to the party too. So we got 2 edge rushers right now, Josh Allen and Chase on. It's going to be a sack party, baby. Unfortunately, Ryan Tannehill, a little smarter this
And
play.
in live action, if you remember this play, and if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, you can see the illustration of it. But if you're in your car, you understand the play we're talking about. I mean, this is that one touchdown to Adam Humphries, made it 30-17 game. At the time, it was a 1 touchdown game. That field goal ends up, the touchdown versus a field goal makes a big difference.
Yep.
But it looks like a prayer. Mm-hmm. It looks like Tannehill's just throwing up a prayer. Well, what you were saying is he really wasn't. He was just waiting until the last second, waiting for the break to happen because he knows what's up. He already knows what's up. Before you get to the last part of this, is that a read by a veteran QB, so you give the nod to the QB, or is that a pretty basic read? Like even Gardner Minshew in year 2, you should expect him to see something like this.
Listen, this is a pretty basic read because when you run a cover one with a robber, once you see that safety peel up a little bit, you know what it's going to be. Now, Josh Jones tries to cover his behind a little bit and tries to move back and try to disguise it. Unfortunately, Ryan Tannehill already knows what's up. So you have 2 options there if you're Josh Jones. You can either check out of it and go, hey, we got to go cover two. You don't really have time to do that here.
Too late.
So you kind of got to roll with it, right? So he tried to put on a best disguise as possible. He moved back a little bit, but as soon as the ball was snapped, it was obvious of where Josh Jones was going to go, and Ryan Tannehill knew that.
All right, slide 3 here, if you're watching on the video feeds, takes us to the eventual conclusion of the play, which is a touchdown to Adam Humphries. And you can see Josh Jones all out of whack. You can see DJ Hayden got turned around on this play. That's why I initially thought it was him.
Yeah.
But he's really, maybe passing him off to where Josh Jones is supposed to be.
So a few things right now. Number 1, Josh Jones, what I just say, it's cover 1 with a robber. That basically means he's taking the first down away. If you look at this slide right here, he's covering the first down, right? Like if there's going to be a slant route right there, Josh Jones had that all day. Here's the problem, though, and it's the basic fundamentals of how zone coverage works or how any kind of coverage works. I don't care if you're defensive end. I don't care if you're a safety or a cornerback. If there's nothing in front of you, you have to get back and get depth, okay? If you watch this play breakdown, as you can see on the screen right now, is there anything in front of Josh Jones to worry about?
No.
Nothing
A lot of
at
green
all,
grass.
right? So if there's all green grass right now, and I get it, your job is to stop the first down, but there's nothing in front of you. So go ahead and get a little more depth, right? Go ahead and move back a little bit because guess what? If there's nothing in front of you, as any coach would tell you, there's something going on behind you. So here, Josh Jones should have got a little more depth because he sees nothing in front of him. If he gets a little more depth, now you make a very tight window for Ryan Tannehill to try to get that corner route to Adam Humphries. So that's Josh Jones' mistake right there. Hayden's mistake, right? Hayden, obviously, he had him man, but he knew that he had a safety backside, right? Now, once again, if Josh Jones would have dropped a little more, you pass it off to Josh Jones, and Hayden is okay.
Yep.
The problem was, though, that Josh Jones wasn't there. He was too shallow. And the problem with Hayden was that he thought he was there, right? So now there's a miscommunication. Hayden thinks that he has inside help. He made the right play by pushing Humphries, obviously, inside because that's where the help is. The problem is though, that help is too shallow right now. And then on the backside of things, Andrew Wingard, right? So when we go cover 1 with a robber, Brent, you have 1 center fielder. That's a lot of space to cover in the backside, right? You're asking a lot of Wingard right now. Let's keep in mind, a very young player, right? Doesn't have a lot of starting experience. You're asking a lot of him right now. And it made him look bad on this play because you see him chasing like, man, I got to get there. Well, let's be honest. You're essentially asking a guy to cover the entire end zone right now.
Yeah.
Okay? And you have Adam Humphries, who's a very good route runner, running a corner route. So Wingard sees this. He recognizes it, and he tries his best to make up for the mistakes that his other teammates made. Unfortunately, he's just a shade too slow. The ball gets there, and it's touchdown for the Tennessee Titans. So who does this fall on? It falls on Josh Jones for tipping it off number 1 and not getting deep enough number 2. It falls on Hayden because he kind of let the receiver go inside, didn't stick with him. And it falls on Wingard just a little bit because the recognition was a tad too late, and obviously it was a touchdown after that. It just goes to show you the chess game being played right now.
Yeah,
Brett.
absolutely. And how 3 guys can kind of have a little bit of a role in one receiver catching a touchdown.
Yeah.
Although, based on what you were telling me, I feel like this is really a Josh Jones mistake. Like, he is the guy to blame because it's hard to pin a blame on Hayden if he's forcing a guy inside because he expects a guy to be there.
Correct.
I mean, that's part of the game. That's what you do. Those are part of your rules and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's hard to blame Wingard. I mean, listen, he is who he is. I mean, he's not, what's his name, who just got let go by Earl Thomas.
Correct.
Right? I mean, Earl Thomas maybe catches up to this play or maybe uses his savvy because he's been around the block a while, and maybe makes a play. But it looks like it's asking a lot of Wingard. And this is the one that looks bad to the free safety. Like, Wingard was the guy everybody blamed.
Correct.
The narrative coming out of that game, and I'm not saying he made a lot of great plays and maybe he had other plays, but this is the play that looked so bad on TV and had people saying, man, you got to get somebody else at free safety. Wingard looks really bad. Blah, 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 blah. Well, it's, at this play, maybe it wasn't really him. My question on the Josh Jones thought is this isn't a young guy. This is a guy who's been around a little bit, was in Green Bay, he's played a little football. They've got a lot of young guys. They're going to make young guy mistakes. They can't afford to make these kind of mistakes, right? And again, hat tip to Tannehill, gets the job done. He sees it. Sometimes you do this and you get away with it because the guy doesn't see it. But they really need their guys that have played football before and to make the right plays and not tip things off like this or make the right mental play. And it looks like Josh Jones didn't here.
See, this is a difference, Brent, between fantastic defenses and mediocre or porous defenses. It's the details, right? If Josh Jones doesn't tip what he's trying to do and the ball is snapped, I think that Adam Humphries runs maybe like a 9 or like an 8-yard, just, an in route, and Jones is there to make the tackle. And if you make the tackle, probably going to be 4th down, right? But off one little tip, off of one little thing, when you step forward a little bit and Ryan Tannehill sees that, it changes the entire game around. Simple as that.
This is when they say, it's easy to clean things up because, well, this is an easy cleanup. Just don't tip it off.
Don't tip it off. Exactly. And then if you do tip it off, that's fine, but then get depth. Once again, I don't want to just single out Josh Jones here because if Hayden would have stuck with him a little more, he helps out. If Wingard would recognize it a little more, then he helps out. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it starts with Josh Jones, but you had 3 guys who could have stepped up and tried to make the play.
Well, and this is one of those things, too, where you could say, normally, well, what if they got a little pressure? Well, this play they did.
They did get pressure.
They got pressure. Josh Allen almost got home on this play.
Yeah.
So he should have impacted. He had to make the clock of Tannehill go a little quicker.
Sure.
So if the back end could have done its job just a little bit more, well, then they probably make a play on this. They kick a field goal instead, and then who knows how this game shakes out.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Brent, because this is going to be my last point of the show here. So we talk about the Jaguars not getting a pass rush, right? Their lack of quarterback sacks right now. If Josh Jones takes 3 more steps backwards and finds that hole right there to cover up Humphries a little bit, Ryan Tannehill cannot throw that ball. He has to hold that ball, and guess what happens then? Josh Allen sack or Chase on sack, and we're celebrating the backfield.
Yeah.
That's the difference literally between, maybe like a fumble from a quarterback or just even a sack. That's the difference between a sack or a touchdown right there is a couple yards.
My frustration with this play, one is it just looked like a play. Looked like a Hail Mary almost, but you're giving it a little more credit, which is cool. Good to see here on the wall that says it all. But my frustration with this play in particular was that the Jaguars, I think, had their best sequence on defense in this 3-play span. I think it was Gotsis who got Derrick Henry behind the line of scrimmage on 1st down for a 3-yard loss. And then it was DeJuan Smoot, who if you really go back and watch DeJuan Smoot on 2nd down, it was a sensational play in my opinion. Never gave up on the play, ends up being a 4-yard screen pass, but he almost had a sack, almost might even had a strip fumble, ends up with the tackle because he sees everything and doesn't really just go chase one guy. And then lastly, they get pressure. One of the few times we saw pressure on Tannehill. and they still are not able to convert defensively on third down. So that's where the frustration, it was like, man, they can't make 3 plays in a row, right? It's kind of, that's what I left. I was like, well, they just can't make 3 in a row right now.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you're going to have to. Now, later in the game, they forced some punts and they made some more plays, but that's a pretty big sequence because it gives up 7 points instead of 3.
Huge sequence,
and especially the way Gostkowski really was kicking overall in the first couple of weeks. You don't even know if it's going to be 3 points.
Exactly, man. And at the end of the day, listen, I don't care if you're in Pop Warner, I don't care if you're in college or in the NFL. If you're running a robbery and you're a safety, the whole point of robbing somebody, don't let them see it coming.
That's a good point, man.